Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Stone, and this is Goodwill Podcasting, your movie podcast that today is reviewing a Mission Impossible film for possibly one last time. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is out in theaters, finally, along with Lilo and Stitch, possibly giving us the biggest Memorial Day weekend we have ever seen in the theaters. That just makes me so excited. Asked me a year ago, I had the opinion that movie theaters were dead. Our co-host Dan, who's not on today, he gives me shit for that, and he forever will, and I will take it. I deserve that. But you heard somebody laugh there. That's not Connor's laugh. That wasn't Dan's laugh. No, we have possibly the best person on to discuss this movie with us today. Somebody who went to the North American premiere of The Final Reckoning. Somebody who had Tom Cruise in the building yelling at people for eating their popcorn way too damn early, sitting outside in the lobby, not yelling, talking to the staff of AMC, because we know he is all about cinema, all about going to the movies. And so is my man, Movie Talk with Brock. He got invited, he was there, he watched the film, got to meet tons of people, maybe got to set his eyes on the man himself, Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise. I'm excited about our discussion today. We have this rated at the exact same on Letterboxd. We will talk about that at the end. But first, welcome in. And I want to tell everyone what we're going to do. First, we're going to give our thoughts on the premiere, not my thoughts. I was not there. We'll talk about the premiere. We'll talk about our thoughts just on the movie in general, then get into some spoilers, and then actually question whether or not this will be the final reckoning of Mission Impossible. But Movie Talk with Brock, and thank you so much for being with me this morning on a very, very early Sunday morning.
Thank you for having me, man. Very, very excited to talk about this. Should we choose to accept it? There we go.
Dude, podcast coming in for you. That's the thing, is you got to think about transitions.
Oh yeah.
That's perfect. What about the movie can I apply to my discussion? You're a pro at this.
Yep.
Movie Pod with Brock. I think that'll go really well with the name.
Oh, man. We'll see. One day. I don't know. I like just popping on different of our friends' podcasts. I like it. No commitment. Just come.
I say, speaking of friends, Brandon Talks movies, Brandon Pod movies. Simple. Nice little touch. Discuss Spider-Man 2. I want to give a shout out to Brock real quick. People who watch on YouTube or just watch us in general, like visually, might see that I have a poster wall back here. There is a Spider-Man 2 poster right there that my friend Brock sent to me, along with a VHS of Spider-Man 2. No, not Spider-Man 2. You sent me Spider-Man on VHS.
Yeah, that's my one and only. Gotta keep that. Gotta keep that for myself.
Yeah, I got too many back here, but speaking of stuff that's maybe just a little bit packed, the AMC Lincoln Center. I texted you about it. I was excited to hear your thoughts, and I bet there was a million people who texted you about it after it happened. Probably like, dude, bro, how do I get invited, man? I was more excited just to talk to you about AMC Lincoln Center, because when me and my wife, we lived outside of New York, we lived in New Jersey, and I would because especially when we lived there was at the end of the year. So what happened was there was a lot of smaller releases towards the end of the year that for awards contention. So I can't remember I think I saw what's it called? I'm blanking on the names, but I saw like All of Us Strangers and The Zone of Interest. Like I got to see those before everyone else, because we're like, oh, yep, we gotta get it in before the end of the year happens. So I would take train rides into New York City and watch like 3 or 4 movies in the AMC Lincoln Center. But so was that your? So you watched it on the biggest screen, 70 millimeter screen, not IMAX, because it was filmed for IMAX, not filmed in IMAX.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to take the win a little bit out of your sales. So they did have that theater, but not for us. Tom Cruise is a big military guy, and he had a bunch of people from the Navy there. That was where they got to see it. We got to see it on like one of their IMAX, like less screens. So, which is okay, because I was there last month, so I got to see the beauty of 7mm IMAX when I saw Sinners, which was the film to see it, and that was absolutely incredible. But yeah, we're like, okay, but it was still kind of like an IMAX light, as we kind of called it, theater, but it was still pretty cool. But not 70 millimeter, not the huge IMAX, beautiful screen.
Yeah, you got to see it in so you did get to see it in AMC Lincoln Square, though.
Yeah, which is still one of the best places ever in the world, I feel like, to watch a movie. That was incredible.
I have a weird bone to pick.
Go
I
ahead.
guess not. I guess not. When I heard about the theater and before I went in, I it shocked me to walk in and just realize that it just kind of looks like an AMC still. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't know. I thought the aesthetic would be maybe a little bit different, but you walk in, there's kiosks. I mean, I don't know. Aesthetically, I just thought it'd be a little bit different. But I will say the thing that's cool, and obviously that you noticed it as well. It's like it has each like when you walk into the theater, they have like some like a doorway design, artistic design above each doorway, and each
Yeah.
theater is named a specific thing
Yep. Yeah.
as well, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and the escalators build anticipation too. I think like, oh, I'm just
That is true.
going up, and you see like it was everything was Mission Impossible. So they had different posters. Like, oh, and like then they were playing the theme all throughout the theater. I was like, oh man, like okay,
That's sweet.
yeah, we're getting pretty hyped. This is pretty cool.
So were there other movies going on, or because obviously this is a very much Mission Impossible event that was
Yeah,
happening
there
in the
was so
building?
many screenings. I think they just, yeah, the majority of it was for that, plus like for security, because Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie were popping into each theater before it started, and different things like that.
I got you. So then this, because for anybody who doesn't know, AMC Lincoln Center, I believe it's 3 stories tall, and the only theater that is on the third story is the 70 millimeter IMAX.
Yeah,
So you
correct.
probably
Yeah,
saw it on the second floor.
we're the second floor. Yep, yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
I think the IMAX movies that me and my wife saw was Oppenheimer and
What a treat to see that.
that's pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
70 millimeter. I mean, I think people who don't maybe who haven't gone or people who really don't care about movies, like if we would talk to them about it.
So basically, I don't think that who I think people might roll their eyes sometimes when people talk about just the IMAX experience in general, but also 70 millimeter. And our buddy Sean came out with a really good video talking about the fact that it's such a tragedy how there isn't more screens.
yeah.
I think there's only like 10 or 11 in the country, which is awful. I mean, the closest one to me, I think I texted you about this, but the closest one to me is 6, 7 hours away in Fort Lauderdale. Where's the closest one to you? How far is it? Not too far.
2 hours, yes, Indianapolis, Indiana. So yeah, I'll definitely be making a trip out there to see it again. But the only thing that's bad about that one is the seating's like not updated esque, which is fine. Recliners have ruined me, but I mean for like IMAX, I probably don't want to be chilling too much. I probably want to be more engaged.
Well, to be honest, I think that in the time that me and my wife were living outside of New York City, they changed the theater seats inside of their 70 millimeter IMAX. They were very close and it was very
Mhm.
comfortable. And I think that's just, is that how it is in Indianapolis? I just
Yeah,
feel very
like kind
tight.
of,
I
yeah, it's
think that's just how
very,
they're like built. They have to
yeah,
be built that way.
yeah, which is strange. But I think like with the modern times, modern seating, I think I heard that they're going to be getting some upgrades soon. Hopefully that's the case.
Yeah, but I think people just don't understand. And like even one of my buddies who's super close with me and talks about movies with me all the time. It'd be just I, it'd be my dream to just take him to one of those one time and be like, here you go, man. Like this is like just
Yeah,
check it out. It's just so cool, and I love that IMAX keeps on posting those pictures of
the
like in
projectionist. Oh,
the
dude, I love
projections
that.
room, like doing
Dude, give
that.
me more of that. Yeah, the one for Did you see the Mission Impossible ones yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
All right, so Mission Impossible. You're at the premiere. What are your
Yes.
thoughts, man? I bet that was just. I mean, that's the highlight of your content creating career so far, right?
Oh, easily. Yeah, definitely a dream come true for sure. Like it was like I literally had a goal of like my goal was to go to one by the end of the year. I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. The opportunity came through Instagram, and like I was like one of my bigger platforms is TikTok. I'm like, oh, it would have been cool to like get like an invite to that. Like, and I hate that I like try to justify my success. I'm like, no, stop myself. I'm like, no, I'm here. And getting there, my hotel is literally right across the street. Like it all just like it's right across the street from the premiere. So like when I get there, the people are setting up. I get out the car, I hear the Mission Impossible theme. I'm like, oh, and this is like 2 hours before everything went down. Took Alex Coleman, which is a great guy. Shout out to Alex. He's a cool dude. Great meeting him in person. Got to meet Straw Hat Goofy, Soups. Got to meet some other people I follow, like it's Daniel Mack, like the guy who like he goes to people like, what do you do for a living? Like super cool dude. Like,
Oh,
and
interesting.
yeah, and he's asked me, he's like, I'm trying to get more movies. Let me get your letterbox and let me follow you. I'm like, oh shoot, this is awesome. But like, you find out, man, like we all just love the same stuff. Like, even like when I was introducing myself to Straw Hat Goofy, because I'm like, dude, legitimately, like, good guy, like, love this stuff. Like, one of the guys I've been watching for a long time, he's like, dude, he's like, it's not corny to say that. He's like, we all just love the big stuff. He's like, I've just been doing this longer, you know. He's like, so, you know, just keep. I'm like, you know, that's a great point, man. You know, walking the red carpet, and like, they're like, what's your name? They're like, my name's Brock Ingy. And like, to see a paper with my name on it, and then they're flashing it to Getty Images so I can look up my images. And I'm like, this is crazy. I think I had a good pose. I wasn't sure. I just went with the hands in the pockets. And then I went
Look
with
good,
like
really good.
yeah. And then I was too like nervous to do anything else. But walking that, I wasn't one of the cool people to get to meet Tom Cruise, but where like the pre-reception, what he did do is he came up to like a bunch of us and was just saying hi. Like, I didn't whip out my phone because I'm like, I'm trying to be better about like just being more in the moment with stuff. I'm like, Tom Cruise is like right here. And I'm like, I just want to just take all this in because I'm like, he probably has cameras in his face all the time. I'm not going to do that. And he was just like, you know, hands on hips, Mr. Hollywood, like, you know, thank you guys for coming out. You know, this is so cool here. We're like, oh, we're so excited. He's like, good, good. He's like, I hope you guys, you know, love the movie as much as we love making it. Like, just thank you guys so much. Or like, just totally glazing us up, getting us ready to go. And like, you know, with me being like, I didn't give this like a 5 out of 5 star. We're talking about our rating, and I'm like, if there's any environment for me to like absolutely glaze a movie and like be swayed by anything, it would have been this. That's how I know I'm like, my mind's always in the right place. Where I'm like, okay, I'm at the pinnacle. I'm at the first time this movie's been shown in the States, and I still, you know, was able to put my critical critic, you know, hat on. But we go from there, take us to like a party bus, you know, which is cool. Then they take us like this bar they rented out in New York, beautiful weather. You know, get to meet some different people. And again, it's just so like it's really cool, I think, for me to see. I'm like, okay, so this is how movie studios are doing their marketing, because not a lot of people there were movie buffs per se. It's like these different people who do different things. And you know, I met a guy who was just like a content creator, you know, and like just does stuff with his family, but he, you know, he lives by Paramount Studios. So like, and I actually got to meet these two guys, Tommy and Chase, which are really cool guys. Were from California. They were at one of the premieres there, but there was a fire there, which is crazy. And they had to like, you know, evacuate everyone during with like one of the screenings. And so Paramount felt bad. So they gave him a New York invite. So that's how they got there. I'm like, oh, that's just so crazy. But yeah, like, it's just interesting hearing people like, you know, what you do. Like, I always tell people all the time, like, if you want to create content, start creating it, because there's so many different people who do so many different things, and you should never know where it could lead you, you know? And so then then like once we go for the bar, AMC is like a 5-minute walk. They've got like security there. We've got to show them like these big tickets, which I already have framed for the premiere. It's like, you know, like where you're sitting, you know, it's like Paramount Studios welcomes you to the New York premiere. Like, oh, this is great. Go up there. I've never seen so many popcorn buckets, and we know Tom Cruise loves popcorn. If you don't, he loves popcorn. Like hundreds of popcorn tins with the Mission Impossible tins, popcorn, like water, a drink voucher. Like, it was like, my wife's like, "Do you spend a lot of money?" I'm like, no, shout out to my wife for letting me go, because we just had a kid like a few days before, and he came early, and I already had the invite to this. So shout out to her if she listens.
If it would have had, what would be your mission if you choose to accept it if the baby came on that day?
I probably would not have gone if he did. Yeah.
Brock, say the
Yeah.
right thing here.
Yeah, no. I love Mission Possible, but I love my family more. But she was like, no, you can go. It was one day, and like I literally was in New York for 18 hours. I had a flight that left for 12. I got there at like around 2, and I just took 2 one-way flights, and then my flight the next morning left at like 6:30. I was up to like 2. It was crazy. I mean, I got some sleep, but it worked out well. But we go up there. And, you know, we get all of our snacks, meeting Paramount staff. And like, and then we sit down and we're just kind of chilling. And then we just hear, oh, he's here. Then we just see Tom Cruise, Christopher McQuarrie strutting in. And I'll have to see the video of just like what they said. I'm not sure if you saw it, but they're like, you guys doing good. And then he's like, everybody got the popcorn. And you guys got your popcorn. So like, again, Tom Cruise, like, he's not just doing that stuff to go viral, ladies and gentlemen. He is about that popcorn life and loves it. And he was like, I eat 2 popcorn, you know, pins, you know, by myself before the movie starts. And like 8:00 on the dot, introduces us. Bam, Paramount Studio logo rolls, and then we watched the movie, and I was just like, wow, that's I'm ruined. Like, cause that's a one heck of a way to see a movie. You know, you see it before, you know, it was on a Sunday, which is a weird premiere day. I'm like, Sunday, that's an interesting day. But I think just because they were film festivals. But sorry, I feel like I'm dragging here. It was a dream come true, man. It was awesome. You know, it was just surreal to be there. And I'm like, you know what? First and many. That's what I told myself. There's gonna be more to come, which is cool. But yeah, what an experience. One of my favorite action franchises, and seeing the first time it came to the States was a blessing, man. A dream come true.
I'd say I had a good way to circle into our actual thoughts on the film as well. But I mean, congrats. I mean, that's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. But I don't know if you know this or if you've heard it. Remember, do you know that I actually went to, I think, a world premiere of a movie?
Rebel Moon with Sean. Yes, I do remember that part too. Yeah.
And I have it's interesting because I also was in a area where the entire cast was there, and they went up and talked about the movie beforehand. And I didn't like part one, so I had the same thoughts as you. I was like, maybe this is the perfect environment. Maybe I'll finally see the vision. Didn't happen. Now,
yeah,
I watched Rebel Moon Part Two and this movie. This movie's a lot better, a lot different. A lot better.
Yes.
I respect the fact, though. I imagine if you would have met Tom and you didn't have your phone out, that would have been such a big baller move, especially coming from his perspective and seeing someone meet you and not like whip out their phone. It would have been like,
yeah,
damn, okay, who's this guy?
Sure, yeah. I just think because I'm like, I know he had a bunch of media press, and like he just was. It was probably like he was there for like 60 seconds before he had to be whisked away to do something else, and it was kind of more just like I was still starstruck. I'm like, dude, that's like Tom Cruise. I've been watching his movies like all my life, and I'm just like, holy crap, you know. Like the content creator side of me didn't like pop in right away, which I'm glad it didn't.
Sometimes it has to. Man, I can only imagine how many people you saw filming there, trying to like do the vlog. Yeah, get it all in. But yeah, so this is a whopper of a movie, man. Longest movie of the franchise is, I think, 2 hours and 49 minutes that you were, plus additional time that you were sitting in that theater in AMC Lincoln Square. The credits roll. Obviously, there's a big energy in the room, in the crowd. People are applauding. I'm sure they're standing up, hooting and hollering. But you go, after you say goodbye to Alex, say goodbye to the people that you met, you go and you sit in your hotel room for 3-4 hours until you get up and fly. What were your thoughts? What three? I won't give away your rating, but I know you have some, so I'm curious to hear what you thought. I think, honestly, to be honest, I think you, for obvious reasons, put out a review way before anyone else saw the movie because you saw the movie before everybody else. I don't know. I saw your rating. I don't know if I've actually seen your review, just because when it comes to you or like Dan or people who've seen these movies before, I just like scroll away. I'm like, I'll come back to it, but it's just because I haven't watched the movie yet. So I'm like, I don't want to hear thoughts just yet. Anyways, what were you thinking in your hotel room about the film?
It was. I was satisfied, but like there was definitely like a yearning of wanting more, and I think the comparisons of, you know, Mission Impossible, No Way Home, that's kind of what I felt. I was just kind of like, this is a culmination. I obviously I think like it's shot way better, looks way better than Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, some people may get really triggered by hearing that, but it was good. But I kind of immediately I kind of felt nostalgic for some of the things that they were showing in the movie, as far as like the stakes, like when they were, especially like that first hour, like when they're setting up a lot of the exposition. I'm like, man, like we've had 3 back movies in Mission Impossible. Started with like, it was, you know, I'll say Fallout, Dead Reckoning, and then Final Reckoning. It's like, man, it's like the end of the world stuff, you know, again and again, right? And then I think like as I rewatched all the movies last month, like, man, a lot of these movies for the longest time was just Ethan Hunt either trying to save someone or get something in time. And like, it just kind of, I had way more of an investment personally into those stories. And I just was like, I was looking for more finality in the Final Reckoning. And I think it was kind of like, you know, the ending, I know we're not spoilers yet, it was kind of like, is it the Final Reckoning? And like, even like Tom Cruise, like as you've seen his old clips that their social teams rolling out, it's like the Final Reckoning. He's like, is it the last one? He's like, it's called the Final Reckoning for a reason. It's like, okay. But I was just like, man, that I did feel an appreciation for Tom Cruise because I'm like, he's not gonna be doing this too much longer. He's not. I mean, he's just realistically not. And then, like, I had a lot of like the movie loving fan of me had to at least respect what he gave us because I know he loves doing this. But at the same time, for a franchise that I've grown up watching, I remember the third one was like one of the first like adult movies I got to see, Mission Impossible 3 back in 2006. I remember that because I just turned 10. And just growing up with it and, loving it, I was just like, man, like, I was like, I know we kind of have to just accept what they gave us, but man, I was definitely looking for something more for sure. So like, it's kind of like, best way I told someone to kind of describe it, it's kind of like when you have like this picture of a meal and like you think it's going to be really, really good and it looks great, like how they do in the commercials, but it comes here like, that's just not what I thought it was going to be. It was still good in some parts, but I don't know if I don't want to finish the meal. I'm not taking it to go with me. I'm just kind of leaving it right here. This experience. Like I didn't have an urge to, immediately rewatch this right away. I've had that with the past couple ones. I'm just kind of like, for one, it's the runtime. It's long. And I unfortunately did feel the runtime in times. But yeah, those are some of my thoughts, man. I'm like, this was good and like, but I want it to be great. I mean, I know it's such a simple phrasing, but that's just kind of very simply how I felt.
Yeah, it's I totally, and just so everyone knows, we're after I give my thoughts, we're gonna break down into spoilers just a little bit and talk about our positives and negatives towards the film. But I get what you're saying that I just rewatched all the movies. It does get a little bit repeats itself a lot with the whole it's the end of the world, nuclear codes, everyone's gonna blow up over and over again.
Yeah,
So the whole finality of what the villain was, I mean, it does apply a lot to our modern day times,
it
which I think
does.
worked out very fittingly. But I think the best way for me personally to describe this movie is I think it has the highest of the highs for the franchise and the lowest of the lows.
I would agree.
And that is I called it the frustrating reckoning because
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
because it's just there are moments in this movie. It's so strange because there's moments in this movie where I'm on cloud nine and I cannot believe what I'm watching. And I feel like everyone says that, but it's true when you watch this movie. And I think it's a dedication to the stunts, a dedication to practical effects, and just Tom's dedication to trying to do something that seems impossible, truly. You just have to applaud, but it does come across on the screen. It really does. There's two big stunts of this movie. One takes place in a submarine. One takes place on a plane, planes, biplanes. Both of them, I think that the submarine one is possibly better than the biplanes. In my opinion. I love that. Didn't think I was going to love it as much. I did, and then you have the rest of the movie, which, first of all, I think there's it does something strange that the Mission Impossible franchise has never done before, where it is constantly showing you flashbacks.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh.
I know I know you just mentioned, and maybe we'll discuss it at the end of this conversation, if this is going to be the final movie of the Mission Impossible franchise. I said something on a previous episode of Goodwill Podcasting where I thought that possibly there were going to be one more because they would want Tom Cruise to win a stunt Oscar for this.
Yeah. I
Tom Cruise has
that
never won
was
an Oscar.
yeah, that was
So
kind of
that
rude
could be a
for them to
chance.
do that. That was rude for them to do like, hey, this is your last one, and we're just now gonna introduce this
Yeah.
stunt category. Yeah. That was
But
weird.
then, but then you watch the movie and what they're doing. They are showing you with how much callbacks they're doing to the other films that this is going to be the last one, in my opinion. It would be so awkward to me to have this movie and be like, one last time, end of the world. This is it, Ethan. You have to do this. Let's even retconning strange things that they didn't have to retcon, which we'll get into that, but and then connecting all the way back to the original film. They connect a lot to the original film. In one area, I thought they actually did a pretty good job of it. But I just don't see them doing another one now, which I didn't think I would feel that coming out of it. But everything, the thing is, I think this is my biggest critique, but then also a way that I think the movies could have been better. Unfortunately, it would have been 3 to 3 hours, 3.5 hours long. I think that Dead Reckoning and this should have been one film. Talking
Yeah.
about it takes about an hour for this to set up. And I don't necessarily think this is a spoiler. The hour that you get into is everything with the submarine. That's what you're waiting on for him to get to. The Bering Sea is where it takes place, for him to get out there, because that is where the end of Dead Reckoning is. You find out that, oh, he needs to get to the submarine. But then, so strangely enough, you thought, like, this thing could have felt like Mission Impossible 3. Mission Impossible 3 is my favorite of the Mission Impossible movies,
It's my
but the thing
second
about
favorite.
it,
I love it.
it feels like nonstop all the time.
Yes.
And imagine if we cut out the first hour of this movie and we open right into the submarine. It doesn't have to be 3 hours long. It could be an hour and 50 minutes, 2 hours, but make it just feel like pumping adrenaline in your nonstop into you. But the thing is, I just think this production got so messed up with COVID. And another reason why I think this is going to be the last movie in the franchise. I talk about box office all the time. Sometimes it annoys my co-hosts, but this
I love
movie,
it.
this movie is $400 million. And even though we're seeing this week, which is great, and I think Lilo and Stitch is probably helping out just a little bit. As the numbers are coming in each day, it is the highest day ever for a Mission Impossible movie, which is great.
Yep.
It's going to open up to like 75, 80, $85 million. Awesome for Memorial Day weekend. That doesn't mean that much when it's $400 million as a production budget.
No.
So I don't know. And I don't think they're spending a lot of time marketing it. And maybe it is because it's the last movie and they're just like, screw it. We're just going to pump money in marketing, as much money as we can to make. Maybe Tom is up there with Paramount CEO, be like, let's just have people enjoy movies, man. Give them all. Let's put so much money into this. Doesn't matter if we make a profit.
Yeah.
But I don't see them making another movie just because I still don't think that they're going to make a profit on this movie because the budget's more expensive than an Avatar movie, which I don't know if it should be that.
No, it should not be. And it should
yeah.
not be at all. And I think the runtime is definitely going to hurt it too. I think you guys were talking about this not too long ago, but it's just long, and I don't know how much rewatchability there was versus Fallout's the highest grossing one that comes in around 2.5 hours, and a lot of rewatchability there. I don't know if that's the case. I know it's got like an A cinema score, which is really good. So it seems like audiences are really connecting with it. So I'd be very curious to see how much, what the legs are like on this thing.
Yeah, my best friend, who I wouldn't call him a huge movie guy, but he's actually been watching a lot more recently, which I'm really happy about. But he loves Mission Impossible, and even when I saw the movie, I was like, I don't know if he's gonna like it because, for one, I thought that it had some big major flaws, and I want to clarify before we get into spoilers here in a little bit. I think this is a good movie. It's not great, as you mentioned, Brock, but I think it's a good movie. But I was scared that he wouldn't like it, and he came out of it. He's like, man, awesome, loved it. And I was like, it blew me away. And I think that if you go and watch this film and you're able to sit through the lows, the highs make it worth it. And I think it's not a rewatch movie, like you said. I don't think it's a rewatch film. I think it's too long, and I think it kind of doesn't really flow that well into Dead Reckoning and the Final Reckoning as smoothly as we thought it would possibly. But besides that, frustrating, but it's good. It's good. It's such a weird movie to talk about in that sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's kind of like it's a shoulder shrug movie. It's like, yeah, it's good. It's good. Like that honestly, like I won't say their names, but like some of the bigger people in the space, like they were just like, it's good. It's good. I'm like, I know some of them maybe were limited. Like I don't think they'll say some of that reviews, but everyone was kind of just like, yeah, like it was like that was the vibe coming out of the theater. There were some people who were very high on it, but I think the majority consensus, and I know the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is pretty high, but you can't really like people just let this might be pissing people off. People are like, oh, you can't trust the critics. You also can't trust the audience scores too, because there's no way that Rotten Tomatoes can verify that. By the way, anybody can go on there and write a review for something. So just a little side note. But
well, it's funny because you can't trust the critics when they overly praise a movie, and then when they're overly critical. So it's just people are never going to agree if they like a movie or they're excited for a movie. They're just never going to do that.
They won't.
We can get into the positives of this movie. I mean, what is your biggest positive? What was the moment? I mean, I think I probably know one or two of them. I feel like there's two highlights of this movie, but where was your mouth open the most?
Oh, I mean, that last hour, that's some of the best Mission Impossible for sure. I mean, the cave, I love that set piece. I love that it was shot practical, and just the cutting him back and forth. Like, that was good. The finale, as far as like him trying to get something, very much again reminded me of what I think is the best Mission Impossible Fallout. Like, you have Ethan like on one place and then his team the other place. They don't know if he's going to get the thing done, which I again, a little frustrated with them. Like, it was too similar esque in that sense, because it's like, okay, we don't know, like we're waiting to cut something, like we don't know if Ethan's there, we just kind of have to trust him. But that biplane sequence was incredible. I mean, the submarine sequence, I'm like, dude, they just really put a 30-minute scene, no dialogue, and we're just immersed in something. I'm like, that's incredible. But honestly, my favorite, I know I had some issues with tying things back. My second favorite Mission Impossible is Mission Impossible 3. So for them to come back to a certain plot point that I won't spoil.
I mean, you can spoil it. This is the spoiler talk.
Oh, there's a spoilers. Okay, sweet. The
Spoilers.
rabbit's foot. I'm like, yes, because that is considered one of the biggest plot holes of modern movies. Like, they never follow back up, and I feel like Tom Cruise kind of heard that. I'm like, like that's just so cool because I love that. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman. I love that movie, and so I'm like, okay, that was cool to see. Like some of the callback stuff, that was cool to see. And I do love the overall message, man, of like human life is it's sacred, and we've got to fight against things that are trying to take away the human experience and take away art, which is AI. And I find it funny, and our buddy Dan did a video about like the new Google technology that launched the same weekend, a movie about how much it's not AI is not good, comes out and does that. I think it was just mesmerized, like, man, like I just saw, like, for me again, this is where the experience hit me. I'm like, I just saw the guy who's in this movie introduce this movie, and I'm seeing him doing some of the craziest things I've ever seen by someone. And his not just like stuntman person in general, but like someone is no 62. What are those? I don't know 60-year-old people that are doing that because they're not crazy like Tom Cruise. And I'm like, man, like you could tell he cares, and like really, like this is what he does. This is his craft, man. And I loved the supporting character. Shout out to Tremel Tillman. He got the biggest pop in our screening because, like, obviously we're hot off of Severance, and he's just like the it guy right now. And like his line, I don't know how your theory reacted. His line delivery was perfect, dude. Like perfect laughs. Like it got the like exact emotion. Of course, we're there with a bunch of cinephiles. But it was almost like, did Apple TV throw some money this movie? Because then you go to Hannah I don't know if I'm mispronouncing the last name. I don't know if it's Waddingham or Winningham from Ted Lasso. And I'm like, I was like, okay. It was kind of like, so now some of them I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of like casting. I didn't really care, but I just thought that was funny. And I thought like the OG crew, I mean, it's good, especially Palm Klimpoff. She was like really impressive. I really liked her, just like her. I want to see her in more movies. I know she's Mantis, but I'm like, yeah, more of this stuff. I was like, I don't know why. I'm just because I was thinking about these franchises a lot. I'm like, I could see her as a Bond girl. I don't know if she'd ever be interested in that, but she'd be fantastic.
That's a good call.
Yeah, I think she'd be really good. And Haley Atwell was great. Now we can get the negatives. I needed that speech with Luther was fantastic. That did kind of get me choked up a little bit. Oh man. Just because I love Ving Rhames and I love his relationship with Ethan. Now, the handling of his demise, I was not a huge fan of. But yeah, that last hour really did it. I know there is a lot of time we have to wait to get there, but I'm like, okay, this was worth it because the whole movie is marketed to back off of that stunt, and it is unlike anything I've ever seen in a movie. And I'm just like, that's Tom. Like that's not a stunt, man. Like that's Tom Cruise hanging from a plane upside down, doing the crazy things. And I'm just like, dude, love him or hate him, love me or hate me, you watch me, however that quote goes. I'm just like, that's incredible, man, just to see that. I'm like, this would not hit the same watching it on my 75-inch television, home. That's why you got to go to the movie theaters. And I'm like, this is a true theatrical experience. I'm like, and I said this in my review, if you're going to pay for the price of ticket, which you should, it's for that last hour. It really, really is. And the movie wants you to do that because that's how they've been marketing it. But I was just like, man, that was really cool to see, even though I didn't like how they stuck the landing with some things. We'll talk about that in the negatives, but I was like, that just pulse pounding. I mean, everything you see in the reviews that it's kind of cliche, pulse pounding, edge of your seat. It is all that. You got to give it its flowers.
In certain moments. In certain
Yeah,
moments.
in certain moments. Yes, exactly. Yes.
It's funny that you mentioned its similarities to Fallout, because I just rewatched Fallout last night, and
Incredible.
big
Best.
major similarities. I was like,
Yeah.
this is kind of like the same thing. But for me, it was there are two scenes. I mean, I mentioned there's the submarine and there's the biplanes, and because the biplanes did feel, I mean, maybe subconsciously, I knew that it felt similar to other things that I had seen in Mission Impossible. The submarine feels truly different,
It
and they do
does.
have one underwater sequence. I believe it's in Ghost Protocol, where trying to get some codes probably or something. I'll have to.
I think it's Rogue Nation, like the spinny thing where he has to
Yeah,
hold his
that's Rogue
breath.
Nation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But it's way different. This is so different,
Way
and
different.
it's crews diving down the Bering Sea and getting to the submarine, and basically just having to unlock a part of the vessel to get the cartridge, or basically the mind of the entity,
Yeah.
in order to stop the entity. And what they did, and I didn't realize what they were going to do before he got down there, was they perfectly position the submarine on a cliff. And I thought that was so cool. And what happens is when Cruz gets in there, when Hunt gets in there and he lets some of the water in, it displaces the water that was already in there to begin with. And it starts to roll down this quote unquote hill. It is a hill under the ocean.
Yeah.
And it allows the water to basically turn while he's in there. And I thought it was really cool and a very inventive way to make the action set piece feel unpredictable and you don't know what's going to happen. And then also the fact that, I mean, I was watching Fallout last night, and I saw the scene where Solomon Lane gets like pushed when he's in the SWAT car. Kind of looks like he
Yeah.
gets pushed into the ocean, and there is this sequence where basically the camera is placed in a certain way where it looks like the water kind of swallows him up. Like it looks like the water's on top of him, and I wondered if they thought of this potential stunt and this
Yeah.
action piece when it came to that. But like you mentioned, though, no dialogue, no score. It's
Yeah.
it's just Tom. It's just Ethan frustratingly trying to pull off this mission. And I was thinking about it while you were talking about your favorite and your positives. Imagine if this movie just opened with no score and it's just him breathing and it's this stunt. And it's him trying to pull this off, and that's for the first 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe that's easier said than done, but oh man, would that rope you in
Yeah, that would have been
quicker
great.
than
Oh yeah.
quicker than Ethan just chilling in wherever he was chilling for 3 to 4 months and hearing a VCR tape from Angela Bassett. Like, what was he
Yeah.
doing? What was he doing in those 3 to 4 months after Dead Reckoning? I don't know, but he has the key. I don't know. But yeah, I think I was watching that. And I was like, good lord, man. I couldn't believe it. It's so frustrating because I think that's so. I feel like people say that all the time, but that's what you get with these movies. Is you get
You do.
things, you get obstacles and stunts and dedication that you don't see anywhere else. And I think even with the flaws of this movie, which we'll get into in a second, I think it's worth watching. I like Ving Rhames. The ending did get me. I think that was a perfect. If you're going to kill off anybody in this movie, I think he was the perfect choice because he's the only one who's been there from the beginning. The
He's
only
been in
one.
every movie. Yeah. Yep.
And I thought his death wasn't handled that well, but I thought that his monologue slash recording at the very end was very powerful and effective, and probably drove my theater to tears, probably along with yours, with all the super fans that
Oh
were
yeah,
there.
yeah. Alex Coleman, like he that got I saw him crying, and that got me a little bit. And there's the couple in front of us who was crying, person who the back behind of us was crying. I'm like, man, I'm gonna hold the line. I'm like, I'm good, but like it was very like, yeah, that was well placed that speech.
But yeah, besides that, it I feel like it's very disingenuous for me to say this, but those are really just the highlights of the movies for me. It's everything else seems quite forgettable. Tremel Tillman is a character. And I think that using that word seems kind of simple on the surface, but that's a guy, like the way he's speaking and the way his dialogue, he just delivers it. He realizes that he's in a movie and what type of movie he is. He feels like he could have been ripped right out of Mission Impossible 1. It's just somebody who is very confident in his work, but also skeptical of Hunt, but is also down to see what happens in a weird
Yeah.
way. And I like that they give him just a little thing that just leaves his character with you. The whole Mister, they calls him Mister so much. I thought that
Yes,
was perfect.
yes,
That's
yeah.
such a smart writing to just include just this little gimmick like that in his performance. I love seeing Katie O'Brien. I was excited to see
Yeah.
Ronald Perlman and Katie O'Brien in this film, and the fact that they pop up in the same environment, I was pumped for that. Besides that, the the cast and crew that they've assembled here, it felt unnecessary. I love Angela Bassett the more she's included in these films, but then they give her, um, you know, Nick Offerman and all of these legacy actors who are there for this reason. The fact it feels like they're there because this is the final reckoning, and I don't
Yeah.
necessarily know if they need to be in their entire plot line. I think you could have found something else for Angela Bassett to do. I think you could have cut all of that. Could have cut it
Yeah.
all. We'll get into negative. Oh, let's get into negatives.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I don't think so. With Angela Bassett and her panel of directors as president of the United States, they somehow know that the entity is going to take over their nuclear arms in 3 days. How? How do they know that?
Yeah.
I don't understand how they know that. They just do, and you're just supposed to go along with it. Sure. Also, man, the entity got old. Entity got the amount of times they say the word entity. It's kind of funny when you like as a joke, but when you're there, it's not a. The entity isn't a person, and I think when your final villain isn't a person, like we do have Gabriel, and I do like. I didn't mention this in the positives, but I do like that. He kind of turns into a cartoon character at the very end. Like
Very
he's just
much
like
so.
maniacally like laughing, like ha ha ha, I'll
Yeah.
get you. And I was
Yeah.
like, sure, we'll do that. But he's also out of the movie for a really long time.
He
And
is. Yeah.
I just rewatched Dead Reckoning last night. I didn't realize that they also kind of retconned. I forgot, but then was reminded that they also kind of retconned something that Gabriel was the reason why Ethan got into,
The
you know,
IMF.
the
Yeah.
IMF in the first place. So there's this real personal connection between the two of them. You don't get that like conclusion or anything in this because there's too many characters. And I think that's the problem with this movie. Number one, too many characters. Number two, we talked about it before we jumped on. I think there's too many flashbacks, and I think that that shows a very lack of faith in the audience.
It
And
does.
you don't even think that we can remember stuff that happens in Dead Reckoning, and you're showing us plot points that happen there. I think, which is a very negative in my opinion. I don't think that you. I think people could show up for this movie and be completely content and know everything that's going on while just watching this movie. And I think that's such a disservice to your fans of the franchise who have watched 7 movies in the franchise.
Yeah.
Honestly, yo, have that dude, which I love this, and I'll say that. What's the actor's name? Hold on. The dude from the very first movie who was there in the CIA, Wolf Saxon, but William Dunlow. This was the only time that they called back to the original film that I liked. And the
Yeah.
fact was, too, William Dunlow is not a small part of this movie. He actually
Oh, it's
comes,
pivotal.
comes along with the team.
Yeah. Yeah, which is funny, like how it's like, yeah, like they have two people do that with I forget the guy's name, but like one of the agents that was chasing down Hunt,
That
like,
was
come join
random.
us.
I didn't get that
That
at
was
all.
random. Like, come join us, man. Come do it.
He's like, okay, sure. I'm like, who is this guy? Okay.
I think that was very much, and started paying attention to the marketing to kind of confirm what this kind of thought of mine. But I think that was very much studio led, kind of some of that first hour because they wanted to have this as broad of an appeal as possible. And even like as they're doing like these little breakdown videos, like what you need to remember for Mission Impossible, they're like the first hour sets a lot of this up, so you don't have to see any of the previous ones to know what's going on. I'm like, and then this is not like this is like the Paramount official like studio page sharing this stuff like on their socials of like, okay, so this is maybe how they want to do it. And like I totally agree with you. And just kind of bounce some stuff off. I know I was talking with you last night. Like to me, the first hour, like imagine if they did this in Avengers Endgame, because I do think this is the Avengers Endgame of the Mission Impossible. It's all been leading to, but like that was a movie where the first hour it did not do catching up. It trusted the audience to build in. Like imagine if like
Yeah.
Avengers Endgame was like, Tony, you were an Iron Man once, and Captain America was the first Avenger. There was an Age of Ultron. We had a Civil War. Then there was an Infinity War, and now we're in the Endgame. Imagine if like Marvel would have done that, and they're like, "Oh, you've been
They would
crazy."
have got ripped for it. I think that's like people
Yeah,
are too easy on the mission because of what Tom stands for and everything he does, and everyone's because this franchise is still but has consistently been good, and it always has
yeah,
good standing with all film fans. And I just think that people are just a little bit too kind to it sometimes. Like you can be critical, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Because I asked someone. We talked about this last night. I want someone to tell me what the plot is of off the rip. You ask someone who is just watch movie category. What's the plot of the Mission Impossible movies? I couldn't tell you. And even talk to some of my friends who like to watch movies or just people out and about, like just in my professional life, just out and about. They're like, "Oh, Mission Impossible!" Like as they saw me, I didn't even know they were still making those. And, like you'll hear that a lot from a lot of people. Like, how many of those they got on? Like somebody like the eighth one, So they were much like, I think they knew that kind of going into this a little bit because unfortunately, not a lot of people saw Dead Reckoning when it came out flopped just because it was
Barbenheimer.
poor. Yeah, that was silly. And a lot of people saw Fallout, but that was 7 years ago. That's a long time. Like, a lot of time has passed. So I definitely feel like that first hour is like, okay, how can we have as much mass appeal? Which again, you cut that down, you could do something more meaningful. If you're going to have this runtime, justify it, in my opinion. And I don't think that was justified. I don't think that was silly. And some people are like, oh, well, it's the finale. Let them flex their chops. I don't want to see what's already been done. I want to see this story and how they're setting it up more. If I want to see those movies, I can go watch them. You can progress the story and call back and not like halting the movie like it did.
The thing is, they recite the plot of this movie so much. I think they do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And watching the movies over again, they do that. Like they go over the mission and when they have to do. They do that in every single film. But I don't know. This movie, it just felt like they were doing it more often um, than the previous entries. But even if they opened up with the submarine thing, you don't need to be a genius to understand what is going on with there.
No.
Ethan Hunt needs to get something in the submarine. It's difficult to do it. He's going to try to do it, and then you explain what it is and how it connects back afterwards. I mean, I
Simple.
have more faith, but I think when watching Fallout, I saw someone say this. I think Fallout would have been the perfect conclusion of this franchise because one thing about that rewatching it last night that I really love that this one didn't have, it feels like the crew is so intimate.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of time with Benji. You've had a lot of time with Luther. You've had a lot of time with Ilsa as well. And then my favorite character, little sneak peek of our following episode where we're going to talk about the entirety of the Mission Impossible franchise or our highlights of it. I really like Jules. That is the one thing about Mission Impossible 3. It gives such an interesting dilemma and dynamic with Ethan's character that you have this one person in his life who he's loved more than anybody else. And how much they use her in that film is just perfect. They
It
don't use
is.
it too much, and seeing her life and her connection with Luther and the fact that she's sitting there helping him defuse the bomb, it's so poetic. It's so perfect. But here, I mean, I love Palm Clementif, but I'm surprised that she's finding the franchise is concluding with her part of the final crew. Like, I don't think that they should have killed off Ilsa. Like, imagine if she was in this.
Nah.
This would have felt a
Uh,
lot more concise. It would have felt a lot more personal to the fans as well.
a lot of
And
us were theorizing. I don't know if you thought this, but off of Dead Reckoning, like I talked to a lot of people, like, do you think Elsa's going to be in it? Like, a lot of like the buzz before, like, I don't know, because a lot of us thought she had faked her death with Gabriel to stay off of like the entity's radar to try and help Ethan. Like, a lot of us thought she was going to be the one to rescue him during that ice sequence during the submarine. I think that would have been really sweet, but unfortunately, it did not happen. And I like Haley Atwell. She's no Rebecca Ferguson though. As far as like their care, she elevated the franchise when she came in.
I think she's underutilized too. And I
I
saw
do,
someone say
I do.
this. I miss like spy gadgets. I miss them doing like
Yeah,
small things. Like I saw in Rogue, in not Rogue Nation, in Ghost Protocol, they do this stunt. like stunt. Like everything doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. They just like lead up to it. Like when I was watching Fallout, sometimes those chase sequences and you get to the big stunt, right? It happens for like 30, 35 minutes. Like it can be super long. It doesn't just have to be the submarine. Like the entire action can be leading up to it, which this doesn't necessarily do that, even though it could. I guess you have the Russians and Haley Atwell and the house that they're fighting them in and stuff like that. But like I was watching this little gadget of Ghost Protocol where Simon Pegg and Tom Cruise, they have to like fake this hallway, and it's like this little gadget or like
The mirroring
the
technology.
security guard's eye. I was just like,
Yeah.
that's what I love, just little things like that. And I feel like this Palm is really the only humor in this film. I think this film is really missing the humor, and following that up, I think this is really melodramatic, like to the
Yeah.
point of exhaustion, where every single character. I get that it's the final movie. I get that yet again the world's gonna end, but the fact that every single person is like, we're all gonna die. We Ethan, this is it. But it's not just Angela Bassett, which I think would be fittingly enough just for her. It's every character. Just that's the only dialogue it feels like they have. It's either exposition or this is the end of the world. And I hate going back to Fallout. I just watched it. You don't really get, maybe besides the shoehorned in. I mean, we can talk about it, but I think Luther, that feels like not part of the original script, and also he has some terminal illness that he didn't have in Dead
Where
Reckoning
the
Part.
hell did that come from? That oh
I
man,
don't
that
know.
was so stupid, man. What in the hell?
I don't know, but I feel like yes, that is an intimate moment, intimate conversation between Ethan and Luther. But watching Fallout, but that is all you have. Anything else in this movie, you don't have anything like that anymore. And I was watching Fallout, and just that moment between Jules and Luther, but then also there's a moment between Luther gets so many good scenes, but there's a moment between Luther and Ilsa where he's telling her about Jules and being like, Ethan's only cared for two women, and you're the other one. And I
Yeah.
felt, which she like, I think he said, don't go. And then she went, which I thought that was funny that he gives this whole speech like, I think you should protect Luther or Ethan and not go on this mission. And then she's just like, I'm going to go with you guys, but whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't have time, or this movie doesn't care about dialogue like that. I mean, maybe you have, which we can talk about it. Ethan Hunt, his relationship with, let me get the character's name right. His name is Briggs, but we find out that his name is actually the same as his father, which is Phelps from the first movie.
Stupid.
He's the son of Phelps, who's taken a different name. That is so unnecessary.
So
I don't
yeah.
understand why it's in the movie. It's just a way to call back. I guess I do understand. It's just a way to call back to the original. But you have other people in this that call back to the original. You do have William Dunlow, and you still also have Kittredge, which I think Kittredge is fine enough. You don't need that. Just felt
Yeah.
like lazy writing. It really sticks out.
Yeah, it does. They're like, we're gonna give you one more thing, one more connection to the original Mission Impossible. So see, this is all yeah. I think my biggest problem with like the stunts, and this is going to be my video promoting this episode of this podcast for you, so your listeners are getting a little early. I think I was talking with Dan about this. I think Ethan Hunt is no better than Dom Toretto right now, as far as they're superheroes. They're superheroes. The problem I have with this, the stunts in this, and even the stunts in Dead Reckoning, is it misses the feeling of like Ethan communicating to the audience, like, can I do this? He has no confidence issues at all, especially he's like, he's going to come out of it just fine. Like, oh yeah, like a plane just flew over, said, oh, he's just going to be fine. And these movies had teetered the line very well of like, suspending your disbelief a little bit, but then grounding right back in some actual practicality. Not the case here in these past couple of movies. And the submarine sequence, as cool as it was, but I'm like, as soon as he took off that suit, I'm like, he'd be dead. He would 100%.
Well, I thought he was going to come up with some alternative because I'm like, ain't it cold down there? And I was like, I don't think
dude.
he keeps going. I thought that was very lazy writing.
It was very jumping the shark-esque. I'll be honest, and I'm like, I respect this franchise so much because it does not do that typically. I mean, there's some it's a movie, like there's some crazy stunts, but that was my biggest problem. Was like, man, he's just doing the crazy things now. I know he's going to get out of this. Like, honestly, my biggest thing, I think they should have killed Ethan, man. I think that, like, as far as lacking the finality, that was a big thing for me, man. Do it. It would be a great emotional payoff that would stick with everyone. Just like I've been rewatching the Bond movies for a video I've wanted to do comparing these franchises. I watched No Time to Die a few days ago, like something like that. I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen No Time to Die?
I'm not.
Okay, I won't spoil that. But a sense of finality, because literally they're just like talk about the ending, all the crew just meeting up and dissipating. It's kind of like, you guys decide if there's gonna be another one. Like, you guys let us know. And I'm just like, dude, like, no, like that would have been silly. Like, I just, yeah. But the biggest thing with the stunts is like, I don't feel like Tom Cruise is in any danger at any point in time. And again, rewatching the previous ones, like you started with like MI3, like when he is in Shanghai and trying to get the rabbit's foot, he's like sliding down like the building. He's trying to like, get his gun. He can't get that. Like, you feel that. Even in MI4 with Ghost Protocol, I mean, not to skip, that's our next episode, but I'm just like, it's that was lacking. I mean, I'm like, I don't. This is more like spectacle than it is danger. Like, he just wanted to show something really cool, but I'm like, I don't feel like he cannot not do what he's about to do. If that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe because they even give him the interesting responsibility is that he's the only one who should be able to wield the entity.
Yeah.
So they
Why?
give.
Like, what? Like,
I mean,
okay.
they could have just like written something in the where the only way to destroy the entity is to kill yourself or something like that. Sure,
Yeah.
saves the world by killing himself. That would have been fine. I'm hot take here. I don't like the retconning of the rabbit's foot. I don't think
Really?
so.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what J.J. Abrams, his whole thing was a mystery box, so it didn't really matter what the rabbit's foot was. It just matters how it made the characters feel, what it made them do. I like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
And I mean, it was just some end of the world device. You know, which
The
what was
MacGuffin.
it
Stop
here? The
using
launch.
MacGuffin.
What do they retcon it into? It's like some type of codes for the entity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, it doesn't matter because that's what all these movies are about. Is even Mission Impossible 2 is about some virus that could, I guess, hurt part of the world. So it's always like a cataclysmic event and stuff like that. But so I never really needed an answer for the rabbit's foot.
Yeah.
Uh,
But so they are tied to cosmic. I can't, that word you just said. It's too early. But it's always to something that you care about, though. Like, Ethan has to get the rabbit's foot because if not, Julia is going to die.
yes.
You know, you go back on that one, or even like Fallout. Like, not again, Julia again. If they don't stop the nukes, like, they're going to die. And obviously that happened to his crew, but it's just like the end of the world stuff again. It's too broad for me to get any investment in, as opposed to be more intimate, which it should have been.
Yeah. One thing that also sticks out too, I just feel the whole first hour of this movie feels like it was written after the last 2 hours. And I think I saw someone say that that's why Rebecca Ferguson. I don't. Maybe she. I saw someone say this, so don't take this for at my word. But I heard that she didn't want to be a part of these movies anymore because they are exhausting to get through because they take so much time and how they're filming it. It's more so stunts first, and the plot comes next. And
Yeah,
we'll build the plot around these stunts. So if you think about it, she's done so much after Dead Reckoning. She's been in the Doom movies. She's done Silo on Apple TV Plus. She's done like 3 seasons of that already, I think. And imagine if she was just tied to this last movie, just waiting around for something to for her to eventually get called on. I mean, let's perfect example. Perfect example. Vanessa Kirby shot scenes for this film. They are not in the film.
yeah,
You don't imagine being Rebecca Ferguson. Obviously, it's Ilsa, so it might have been a little bit different. But not knowing how much of your footage is actually going to be in there, but you have to wait around to see if it's going to be, and just wasting that much time. I can't
yeah,
believe they just don't have Vanessa Kirby in this movie. Just boop.
yeah. Why would Yeah, no. That what you said would makes perfect sense. She's been very audible about that. Like, she's talked about that, like the press tours. Like, she was like, I think Dead Reckoning. She's kind of hinting at like this is gonna be her last one, and she like why? She's like, I'm just these are too much. Yeah, and I mean, it totally makes sense. She's too much of a list or great actress for her. You know, she's like, I got to do better things, which I understand. So,
Yep. Any final thoughts for the Final Reckoning? I mean, I feel like I said, it's such a hard movie to talk about because it's good. and
It
I don't think
is.
it's bad. I think that it's worth. I want to say here, it's worth buying a ticket to go see it at the movies, which I don't think that you can say that it's a bad movie when bad is attached to it.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's the best of the best, but it's also the worst of the worst at the same time. And I'm like, man, and maybe we've been spoiled for so long. Like the run from like especially Rogue Nation and Fallout, those are two of the best action movies of this century. And Final Reckoning, even like I like Final Reckoning more than or sorry, Dead Reckoning more than Final Reckoning. Like that's a good one too. And like they just hadn't missed, but it just seemed like they were really trying to really wow us more with what was happening to where maybe we wouldn't focus on some of least interesting things in the story. Like it just was like, man, like they've written these films pretty decently. Again, they're not known for that, but this one I was like, this wasn't it. This just wasn't it in parts, but I enjoyed it more than I disliked it for sure.
Yeah. Well, do you think it's gonna be the last one? Call it right now.
I do because I don't think it's gonna make a ton of money. You know, you said $400 million. Rule of thumb with movies to make it profitable times about 2.5.
At least, yeah, it's 2.5. Some people say 2 times, but it's 2.5.
Yeah, because it's marketing and boy,
That's like $1 billion, man. It ain't
yeah,
making $1 billion.
no, exactly. I think it'll, and a lot of that money is coming from Tom Cruise, which what I've heard, like he did pay for a lot of things out of pocket, which I love that, but I think this is maybe topping out 500-600 million somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I hope I don't think there's gonna be another one. I don't.
That's a bummer. But anyways, but those are our thoughts on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. If anybody's listening to this and agrees with them or disagrees with them, let us know in the comments wherever you're listening to this. I hope you all liked it though. It's good. It's just could have been better. Could have been better. Shave off an hour. More respect for Luther. Write Luther into the actual plot. Let him die at the end. I don't know. But all right, guys. Thanks for listening to our review. And then tune back in for our covering of the entire franchise on our next episode. Peace out, everybody.
Should you choose to accept it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're going to self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.